Yeah, I'm ex-Royal Marine, got injured in Afghanistan in 2009, lost my right leg, dislocated both my knees, broke my femur, broke my hip, dislocated my pelvis, broke my back, ruptured my spleen, broke my collarbone, and had a little cut on my chin.
Sound. The Veteran's Opinion with my mate, Aaron Moon.
You right, mate?
How you doing, mate? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
When was the last time I seen you?
When I went get me a haircut.
It was, yeah. You come down
definitely.
to Peter's at Barber McGull. Get your haircut, yeah. How you been? You alright, yeah?
Yeah, top of the world, mate. Top of the world.
Good stuff. You're looking well, mate.
Thanks. Put a bit of lockdown weight on, but I'm
It's
not
normal.
too bad.
Completely normal. I'm alright. From here, if you look at the camera, I'm like this, I'm alright, but it's all underneath the desk here. Like, it's all pear-shaped. All gone to shit.
That's why I went black.
Yeah, that's it.
It's slimming
Blend
it.
into the background like that. Why things are seen 101. So yeah, what's been happening, mate? So, anyone that doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm ex-Royal Marine, got injured in Afghanistan in 2009, lost my right leg, dislocated both my knees, broke my femur, broke my hip, dislocated my pelvis, broke my back, ruptured my spleen, broke my collarbone, and had a little cut on my chin.
And that's the Veteran's Opinion. Thanks for tuning in. So we might as well start from the very beginning. Childhood, growing up.
Yeah, I can't grumble. I had a pretty good childhood.
Yeah.
Typical lad, didn't really like school, played rugby, got on at Lee Centurion's Rugby Academy. Thought I made it as a rugby player, so screwed off college and all that. Just never turned up. Got injured playing rugby, got let go from Lee. Ended up just like, what do I do now? So I looked into the forces. We just started in Iraq. So I looked in like longest, hardest training. Thought if I'm going to be getting shot at, I want to do the best training possible. Came up with the Royal Marines. So
you failed the army, went for the Marines.
I thought you were going to say Paras then. I'll go spit on you. No, yeah, I went and joined the Marines. Did the 32 weeks. Loved it. Passed out luckily as an original. And then went deployed to Afghanistan in 2009 with Armoured Support Group in the Vikings.
Mega. And then that was Herrick
9/10. We did a crossover tour.
Yeah. Where were you based?
We were down in Nadi Ali.
Oh, right, yeah.
IED Ali.
Yeah. Well, we had Pharmacy Road on ours, and it was just like that. It's just riddled, you know what I mean? But so tell us about the bang.
Yeah, well, I was in, like I say, in a Viking, or a tin coffin as we like to think of them. Driving on a patrol from Lashkargah down to Nadi Ali. Hit a little dip, and the ID was planted in the dip. That went off. My vehicle moved 10 foot. I went through the armoured door of the vehicle.
Were you driver?
Yeah. There was only the lad on top cover with me. Luckily, there was no one else involved. I went through the armoured door. The hole that the bomb caused, I was in that. All the lads rushed to me, patched me back together, and I was back in the UK within 24 hours.
That fast?
Yeah,
it is a fast turnaround. I know that from when we were taking in casualties. Like, it felt like forever for the mare to come in. But once it was there and gone, the turnover was so fast. Up to Bastion, to the field hospital, and out. It was so fast. So when you got banged, what was your memories from that?
I remember just before the bang, hitting the dip, then a big flash because I don't know if you've been in the Vikings, but at night time we drive by a camera.
No.
We black out all the windows and we have a infrared camera, and we drive by.
We
that
had bulldogs in Iraq. It was a similar thing, but like they were old school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think they were like pre-Russian. You know what I mean? Pre-Russian war. They were old, like, you know what I mean, rickety, but with a lick of paint to doing you.
Yeah, definitely. That's British military for you, isn't it?
You know.
But yeah, the screen lit up. Next thing I knew, I was like in bits on the floor, like looking down, thinking, "Oh shit, this ain't good."
Yeah.
Lads rushed to me, banged a load of morphine in me, and then I was gone. I was on cloud 9. So next thing I know, I was waking up in Birmingham,
straight there,
which was probably not as safe as Afghan, to be fair. But it's I take my hat off to everybody, to be fair. In between, like all the medics, the lads on the ground, like. It's amazing.
The process is so smooth.
Yeah,
it really is smooth. It's quite incredible, to be honest.
It's one of them weird ones though. Like I was awake through quite a bit of it until they put me on the Herc to come back to the UK. But they put me in an induced coma, but they couldn't put me too far under because if anything happened, they'd have to wake me up. But it's one of them bizarre ones. Like I'm glad that I weren't awake through it all because I was in absolute bits. But part of me wishes I was awake to witness it all and see out. Because it was like the process of being able to get a person in so many pieces, like fighting for his life, back to the UK in such a quick time, and then through like straight into Selly Oak Hospital, which I think it's Queen Elizabeth now. But straight into the hospital and to do them life-saving operations. I think within the first 2 weeks in hospital, I was still in an induced coma. I think I've been through about 17 operations in that 2 weeks. It was something ridiculous, just constantly in and out.
And what were the operations? Obviously with the you didn't lose your leg straight away, did you?
I kept my leg for a year. I'd lost about 5 centimeters of bone in my leg, my weight bearing bone. And they put like a big cage on it, so I had the X-Fix on for God knows how many months. It felt like a lifetime. Took that off, and then they put a metal rod in my leg. And the hope was that the metal rod had formed the bone, and the bone would grow back over it.
Ah, right. Is that because it was that much damage?
Yeah.
It shattered, like.
But the biggest problem I had, my bone was really good at growing, but in the wrong place. So at the ends of my bone, they grew over the rod really well. But where I'd lost the bone just never came back. So when they actually operated on me to amputate my leg, they had to cut my foot off, chisel away a bit of the bone, and hammer this rod out through my knee because it wouldn't come out.
Really?
And I asked, being the 6 military ladders we are, I asked them to take photos of the operation. So I've got photos on my laptop of my leg being amputated. And basically there's one photo of my foot just hanging on like that. And then the next photo was just my foot sat on a plate, just like on its own, no leg, nothing, just foot on a plate. I was like, that's proper bizarre, but it's good to see, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a bit of an experience. I always remember, like I said to myself, like if I ever lost an arm because of my tattoos and stuff, turn me arm or something into a lamp. It's a really weird thing. When you're like, just before we deployed to Afghan, we've been to Iraq and Kosovo and that, and everyone's obviously Afghan was a tear up on it, and everyone's going, oh yeah, 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 and all that. So I just turned around and said, listen, if I lose an arm or a leg because I've got sleeves, like, just turn it to a lamp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to wake up in the hospital and see my arm as a lamp. I don't know why. Whether it's because
a little chair like that, so you can just sit on the hand.
Well, I thought, it's like because you're drinking loads before you deploy. Because obviously you go for your training prior, pre-deployment training. So then you go through a stage of just drinking, don't you?
Yeah.
Like get it out your system before you get out there, and it's just the random things were coming out, and the random like.
Do you want to lose an arm or a leg?
You go right to will and leave it. It was weird because I didn't really think about it until like a few weeks ago, and they say right to will and leave it on your bed with your number 2s. And you don't think about it. You don't like if you said that to a civvy, you go just write your will and leave it on your bed before you deploy. And you go why? What? But as a squad, you're like, go on, you write your will. You lash your number 2s. My number 2s didn't even fit me. Like I'm not even asked anyway.
I've still got my blues, and they're never going anywhere near me ever again.
Well, I thought they don't go around me now because before I deployed, I was like 15 stone, and these were from depot. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, that just stuffed me in. It's just your problem, not mine. But it was so like, what's the word? Like no one's asked. It was like, yeah, there's my wheelchairs.
Like proper blasé, just.
I think I've written like 2 lines. Go, nice one, boys. You know what I mean? Like
the joy of being a squaddy though is like. You don't have much anyway. Your life fits when you move unit. Literally your life fits in a repack box.
Yeah.
And they're like, what, about 5 foot wide?
Yeah.
And you pack up to move unit, and then you look at it and think, that's my life in a box.
It is, yeah.
So there's not a lot to leave.
And then when you come home, when you get out, you come home, and they go, yeah, your boxes will follow. And you go, oh, sound. So you sat there in your mum's, your dad's, or whatever. Like I said, going, my boxes will be here soon. It's like 2 years later, this box rocks up, and it's full of all sorts because it's been left in the stores. And the lads go,
I love that.
Is that his box? Yeah. Next minute, everyone's hovering their asses over it and all sorts. You're like, ah.
Oh, the best one of them was when I deployed, being a Wigan lad, I had a massive jar of Uncle Joe's mint balls.
Yeah.
Like, fucking awesome it were. But when we went out on the ground, I'd left them in Bastion. So all the lads packed my kit up. All my kit got sent home.
Yeah.
But my Uncle Joe's. I was absolutely mortified. Like, sat there in hospital, like, where are my sweets? And the lads are all out in Afghan fucking munching them.
Fucking hell. But yeah, so when you lost, obviously you didn't lose your leg straight away. What other injuries did you have? You said.
I dislocated both my knees. I mean, my right one wasn't really that bad. Like it's a dislocation, it happens.
Yeah.
But because the rest of my leg was knackered, I didn't really think about that knee. But originally, when I got back to the UK, they thought I'd lose my left leg above the knee because the dislocation was like basically my kneecap had come completely detached. It was
damage
upside down,
yeah.
and my tib and fib was sticking through my leg. I've got like a big hole on the side of my knee.
Yeah.
It's like obviously not a hole now. It's got like skin graft over it, but my tib and fib were going through that hole, and my kneecap was completely detached and upside down. So they was like, I don't think we'll ever fix this, and luckily they did. Well, they fixed it as best as they could.
Yeah.
And then for ages, I was like on one of them traction machines. You strap your leg into it, and it bends, and you can set what degree of an angle you can bend your knee at, and it'll bend your knee for you to that just to get your knee moving. And I think the first angle, I was like 9 degrees or something like that in hospital, and I couldn't. So it's basically like just short of straight.
Why is that? Because it seized, like?
Yeah, just because like it was all new ligaments and stuff that they put in, like because there was just nothing
so
left in my knee. Yeah, they had to.
Yeah.
And then so they said to me like every like a couple of days just knock it up a degree. So being like military as you do, it was like every day I was going up 2 degrees, 2 degrees, 2 degrees, 2 degrees, and I was like in fucking agony.
Yeah.
But it made my knee work, and touch wood, it's semi okay now.
Well, it must be because of the stuff that you're doing now. Like.
Well, obviously, as we were talking before about the rugby, it didn't serve me too well in my first match, but
no,
it's building back up.
I've seen you train and stuff like that, and it's like I was obviously with losing a leg, it's going to be at first it's going to be quite tough.
Yeah,
because you've been amputee for so long now, it's obviously become
second nature. I don't really.
That was over a decade ago now.
Yeah, bloody hell.
It's mad, isn't it? Like 2009.
2010, I had the leg off, so yeah, I've been.
So what? 11 years.
11 years this year.
Yeah. So it's like PTSD. When I talk about PTSD, and the therapist goes, "What if I can give you a pill and it'll take away all your depression, anxiety, anger?" And I go, "No, because I've been like this for so long now. I don't know how I was before.
Yeah,
it's routine for me now. It's routine for me to get up in the morning and fight through those demons and work hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it must be like I can't comment on it, but it must be like a similar thing if you've lost something and you've had it gone for so long.
I don't remember what it was like to have 2 legs anymore.
Really?
I was talking about this with somebody the other day, and they were saying like I'd gone for a run with my mate, and obviously he's a civvy, he's got both his legs, and we were running, and I had a blade on, and he was like, "Is it not weird that?" And I'm like, "Well, no." I was like, "It'd be weird for me now if you give me my leg back and told me to run normally. I'd just try and walk. I'd be like, my mind would go."
Yeah.
But yeah, you get up in the morning, you put your leg on. It's like first thing I do. It's like most people get up, get the dressing gown on or whatever, get dressed. I get up, I get my leg on. It's just routine now, like you say.
I couldn't get my head around that, to be honest. I think with routine over so long, it's just become a natural thing. Do you still get like sensations? Like,
oh yeah, it's horrible.
Richo, who's my first guest, you know Richo, like he got brassed up in Afghan on a headache tendon tour, and he still got his leg, but he problems he has now is with his nervous system.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, so his nerves are firing like crazy. So his the sensations in his foot is like agonizing. You know what I mean? So do you still get feelings like that?
Yeah, I get it's called phantom limb pain in amputees. So basically, the limb that's not there anymore, you get feeling in it.
Yeah.
And it pisses me right off because like the worst one I feel. Like sometimes it feels like somebody stabbing you with a knife or cutting your foot open with a scalpel or something like that.
The foot that isn't there.
But that doesn't bother me that much because it's a quick pain and then it's gone.
Yeah.
The worst thing is when you get like pins and needles in your toes or your foot that's not there and you can't do anything about it. It's fucking horrible.
And you can't even rub your foot or walk it off.
Or if you get cramp, that's worse. Like you get feeling a cramp in your stomach, and you're just like, there's nothing I can do. I can't stretch it to get rid of it. It's just there, and you've got to just.
That's mad, that.
Yeah, it's mental. Like if I drive, because I drive a manual, if I drive a long distance, that's when I get them more as well because I still press the pedals and I can feel the pedals through my prosthetic.
Right, yeah.
So over time, I think if you drive a long distance, your brain starts thinking your leg's back, so then you start getting the pains.
Yeah.
But they never pain. Like when I kept my leg, I had like a big hole in my heel. I mean, I had like a millimetre of bone left in my heel or something daft like that. And I don't get pain there. That's not where I feel the pain. So it's proper weird that the pain that I get now isn't where I'd actually injured when I had my leg.
Yeah.
So like sometimes it feels like somebody's got my toes and they're crunching them over like that, but then putting a blowtorch on them. And it feels like it's proper. It's weird that it's so descriptive, but it's like a proper weird sensation. But it's not all the time. And but it's just when it does come, it's like, oh, this is horrible, and then it goes. And
I couldn't think. That's weird. Imagine walking through town and you go, ooh, and like you'd be like, oh, I've got pins and needles, and everyone's going, what?
Weirdo.
Like, what's your missus? What happened when your missus? The first time your missus seen her?
First time we got when I first went around hers. No, she come to mine actually. When we sat watching a film, and it was a weird one because she knew, like, we'd known each other for a long time. She knew all about it, and she come around when we sat watching a film, and I had to turn around to her and I was like, "Do you mind if I just take my leg off?" And she was like, "Why are you asking me that? Like, just take it off. It's your leg." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Like
but I just don't want you. Yeah, I don't want you feeling uncomfortable.
Can I just take my coat off?
Yeah, can I just get my leg over?"
Hang on, let's put that over there.
It's the easiest I've ever got my leg
And
over.
there's the name of the podcast. Alan
But-
Moon getting his leg over.
But yeah, no, it was like, but after, like now, even when I get phantom pains, I'll be sat on the couch and I'll start be like spazzing out like that, and she'll be like, "Fucking idiot," and she just ignores it now.
Like, yeah.
She just looks at me like, "You're a moron. Just go away." But no, she's awesome. To be fair, she's helped me out massively over time. So
yeah, I've seen the photos of on Instagram. You and you and your baby and that, like, and your family is like. It's like I said, it's always good to have a good home base. You know what I mean? And do you think that's helped you?
Massively. Like I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for my missus, and then now my little lad. Everything I do is trying to make them proud. So I dig out blind now. Before I got with her, I used to be in pub every night drinking, getting in fights. I was a bit of a dick, really, to be honest. But yeah, it was literally I've come out of the Marines. That's my life, and it's just gone. Yeah. And I'm like, what do I do with myself? And like all the I probably didn't have the best of circles at the time. Like the people I was going drinking with, they'd like be in pub every night, and I got with her, and just like that, I was like, nah, this is my future. Yeah. So yeah, she's been my, because like I'm still a knobhead. As you know, with everything I do, and I always pick the stupidest things to do that are going to proper ruin me.
Well, that's it. It's down to the next mission, isn't it? It's down to the next stop. It's like you always, like, because obviously losing a limb and being in that kind of trauma, it's going to cause some sort of PTSD and mental trauma. And I know you personally, you know what I mean? And I know it has had a toll on you. Yeah. What do you think has pulled you through?
It's definitely my family, definitely. Like I said, I just, for me mentally, it's not got me down. It's just I've got to keep busy. Yeah. And it's finding the next thing. Like I've probably, since leaving the Marines, I've probably had about 7 jobs in 10 years, which is mental, really. Yeah. And like my latest one coming up, my golf one, I've pushed it to the limits to do things that aren't proper normal, really. But they keep me grounded, I think. Like no matter how stupid I go, when I come home, I'm settled, and they bring me back down to ground a little bit, and she lets me is probably the wrong word, but she gives me the free rein to go and do the stupid things and supports me. And then when I come back home to her, it's like, right, well, let's chill out now and let's look for the next thing. When she can see that that's not anymore in me, she'll be like, yeah, no worries, let's find the next thing for you. And whatever I do, she's 100% behind me and backs me every step of the way. So I'm lucky.
Do you think it's down to being ex-military? You know, you get itchy feet or itchy foot. Choose the pun. But
I still get itchy feet, remember?
Oh yes, I do. Yeah, but I was looking at it, just thinking, then you just reach down, scratching your prosthetic, going, "What's he doing now?" No, just do you think it's because being military, you're always used to being on the move, and there's always the next stop and moving constantly?
Probably.
When you do leave, that you need to keep moving all the time. Because I found that before I met my missus and had my family and stuff, I couldn't stay in the same place. Yeah. It seemed, and it was weird because it went into like 6 month to 12 month increments. I had to keep moving house, moving area, changing job. I was always jumping job to job to job. I think that's just a military thing. If you're so used to being, if you're Marines or you're infantry, you're so used to being deployed all the time and constantly moving on. You're on ops and you're on exercise and stuff like that. I find that when I was coming home, I'd sit there and even when I got out, I hit the 4-week mark. I was like, right, time to go back now. I'm like, I'm out. Yeah. Right. And that's when I started to go a bit wobbly then, because I was like, I'm not regimented here. You know what I mean? Where's company detail? Where's my next job? You know what I mean? Do you find that was the case with you?
A little bit. I think the main thing for me was because I didn't choose to leave. I got kicked out. Well, not kicked out, medically discharged. Indeed, it's basically the same thing, but
posh ways.
It's just for people who are broken, we'll not kick you out. We'll put it up in a nice cotton wool and send you on your way. But no, I think I joined the Marines. I was 17 when I signed up. 18 just before I started training. It'd been my life. Like, you grow up, and kidulthood, should I say, isn't life really. You're still learning everything you develop. But the Marines was where I was born, probably.
Yeah.
That was everything. I lived it.
Born in Wigan.
Yeah. Bred in the Royal, made in the Royal Marines. Don't say the Navy.
I can get the suit out if you want.
You did look quite fetching, to be fair. But yeah, no, it'd been everything for me, and I'd done 6 years, or just coming up to 6 years, and to have that taken away, and I come out and I'm like, wow, I didn't. And like with the Marines, you can specialise in things, but I specialised in driving a big fuck off armoured vehicle and shooting a gun on top of it. Yeah. What in Civvy Street can you do there? Exactly. Like, I can't just rock down the high street in a fucking Viking just popping people for fun. Yeah. So it's like you come out and you're like yeah, sometimes definitely. But you're not set up for it. No. And I think for me, it's even to now, like moving on to a new career. There's always got to be something. I've never settled because nothing will ever replace the Royal Marines. Yeah. And I think I've started realising that now, that I'm never going to replace it. Yeah. But it's still a part of me. So we've got that part. We've lived that part. Let's find me now. Yeah. And I've got to be a new person and find new things. So
that's it. Well, I found that for years I was always trying to be a squad. Yeah. Always trying to be a squad. Everything I did I related to the squad, right down to the mentality, right down to the slang, right down to everything. You mean the way I spoke and the people I spoke to. Like, you mean I avoided civvy contact as much as I could, because I thought they don't understand me. Yeah. Well, they don't. What's it to understand? You mean you've had trauma, and at the end of the day, the way I got through it was to say, right, okay, it was just another job. Yeah. It was just another career. Now I'm on my next career now, and what I have now, what I wish I knew back then, was you have to replace that. You have to be regimented in something else. You have to change that passion rapid. You have to, and I noticed with a lot of lads that were getting out, they already changed their passion. So like straight away they went from, okay, so we've got back from Afghan, decompression, right? Straight away they're straight online, and they were looking for like new careers, new jobs, and getting like the courses done and getting it all done. And they were getting out, and they were like taking like a few weeks out and going straight into that new job, and they were passionate about it. Whether it be like gas engineering or whatever. You mean they went into another career. With me, I was like, I'll be alright. Yeah, I'm a legend. I'll get out the army and go. Everyone wants to hire me. Yeah. And I'll get out and go, what do you want? And then like everyone's going, what do you want to do for a job? I was like, don't know. Yeah, no idea. And that was when I was like, shit. You know what I mean?
I found, like, for me, I've got to a point now where, like, there's loads of lads who've been injured, loads of lads. Like, people keep saying to me, because as you know, I've done quite a few different things and achieved quite some decent things. I've never really realised it until the other day. Somebody was talking about it, and we were going through it together. And a few people have said to me, like, oh, do you write a book about getting blown up and stuff like that? And I was like, no, I don't think I would. There's loads of books out there you can go and get. I mean, like, we spoke about Mark Ormerod earlier. That lad's an absolute legend. He's got one, maybe 2 books, or he's got one in the process. There's lads out there that the stories outweigh, by far outweigh mine. But I've said one day I'd like to, in the next couple of years, I want to. But I want to do it about everything that's happened since. And I want to write it as
like
though...
the aftermath sort of thing.
I started on the day I was blown up, and that was only a little blip. Like, that's where the book would start, and it wouldn't dwell on that. It wouldn't dwell on... I wouldn't really go into my Royal Marine career.
Do you think that's where your trauma and your fight started?
Yeah, probably.
Because I find that with my career, my trauma kicked in fully was when I got out. That's when my fight started, because you're so trained. It's like skills and drills that when you're out there, it's your job. Yeah. And then when you get out, then that's when the fight starts. You know what I mean?
Well, I was quite lucky in the sense that when you go through head cut, even when I had my leg cut off, I was surrounded by like double amputees, triple amputees, stuff like that. You touched on Craig earlier.
Craig Wood.
He was in Headley Court when I was. Rammers was the Mark Ormerod, stuff like that. And there was lads that were a lot worse off than me, even though I just had my leg cut off. So I was quite lucky in the sense that I was in Headley Court with like-minded people. You were still, and it didn't feel like you were going through anything difficult because you were together. You were still in that military background. But for like lads who get out normally, they get all the like they get to plan the resettlement and stuff like that. But my resettlement time was spent rehabbing and getting better.
So your focus was on that,
when I got discharged, like it was quite early on, so the discharge weren't the best, to be fair. I didn't end up doing any resettlement. I've only learned probably last year about my LCAS, so I've got till November to spend them.
What year did you get out?
2011, November 2011.
Yeah. I think it lasts 10 years, doesn't it?
Well, they've just extended it. Mine should have ran out in March this year, but they've extended it to the date that you get discharged now.
Okay.
So I've got till November. But again, I've not a clue what I'll do with them. They'll probably go because I've done plenty now in them 10 years. But yeah, I spent my whole time, and then all of a sudden it's just like I got a phone call saying, Marine Moon, you don't have to come back if you don't want to. That's you kind of thing. And I was like, and I was sat at home. I got off the phone and I looked at my family. I'm like, I think I've just left the Marines, and I was just like chilled at home. Like, this is weird.
How did you feel? Do you feel a bit lost, a bit empty, or a bit happy because it's a bit of freedom?
It didn't really sink in, I don't think, for quite a bit until, because you get the phone. I got the phone call, and then I'm at home, and I was on leave anyway, so I was just thinking like 2-3 weeks down the line, like you say, right, I should be going back to Plymouth now. Oh, wait a minute, I'm not. And then you're like, well, I'll just go pub instead, and that kind of filled that void for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's. I've never wanted to dwell on what happened or look back at the Marines. I put a post on the other day because it was 11 years since getting blown up in February, and I put a post on and somebody said like, "Oh, you should never look back, blah blah blah. Always look forward. This is you only going forward." And I was like, "No, I 100% get that, and I believe that I should always look forward to the next thing. But I love reminding myself where I started.
Yeah.
And I don't look at joining the Marines as where I started. I look at that day when that bomb went off. All right, this is the start of the rest of my next bit of life. So, like, the Royal Marines was my early life. Now I'm an amputee and I'm a civvy. So, and that was from that day that bomb went off, because I was never going to be a Royal Marine Commando serving again. I'll always be a Royal Marine Commando. It'll always be in me.
Yeah.
But I'll never be a serving Royal Marine Commando ever again. So that was the start of the rest of my life. So like I say, if I do ever get into a book or something like that, it'll all be about, I got blown up.
From there onwards.
But I'm not going to talk about getting blown up, because like you can read about that anywhere.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what I've gone on to do and achieve, and how I've done it, and like the darker days where it's been tougher.
Yeah.
And the good days where I've come out on top and I've achieved some crazy things.
You have achieved a lot. I remember when we first met, because it was Alex Large.
Yeah.
Remember that put us on to each other. Alex Large runs the IBFA Liverpool, the bodybuilding. And we'd, I think it was just after IBFA Liverpool, we met up. And we met up through Chris Clark.
Yeah.
Pump Media.
Yeah.
That was up in Wigan.
Yeah.
And we went to one of his events. And that's when I took you on as a sponsor, sponsor of Right Flank. And we met up there. That was a bizarre thing. That was weird. That
good night, that though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was crazy because we got talking there, and then we met Phil Heath.
Yeah,
it was weird because we met up in the middle of Wigan, and then Phil Heath just walked in.
Yeah,
was it 8 times Mr. Olympia?
Yeah,
he
legend.
Walked in, and I've got the T-shirt there signed by him and all that. I'm thinking about auctioning it off.
He's someone else though, isn't he? Like,
yeah.
I've seen big guys and like been around some big lads, but when he walked in that room, you're just like,
who's this?
Yeah,
like you rolled in.
Yeah, like his arms were just as big as my whole body, and you're just like, that's phenomenal.
Because you were just starting your bodybuilding career then, weren't you? Because obviously lockdown kicked in and all that, but you were going to go onto stage.
Yeah, I was doing a guest with Alex at the IBFA Liverpool. I was doing a guest like spot for charity.
Yeah.
I weren't ever going to get into bodybuilding as a career or as a sport. I basically, it was just another thing somebody had suggested, like, why don't you try this? It's got to be fucking hard.
Yeah.
But do you fancy it?
With being a royal, you just took the challenge.
I was just like, let's give it a go. Why not? Let's get on stage and see. Because most of the things I've done, I've not just done for myself. I've tried doing it to either raise awareness, motivate, or inspire, or even raise money for charity wherever I can. And that was another one. Somebody said, like, why don't you do this for charity? It's going to kill your body and it'll be fucking hard, but let's give it a go. And I was like, yeah, Roger, let's do it.
Because I remember you started it, and you're a bulky lad, like, and then I think I seen you literally, 5-6 months later, when you come down to Peter's, and you were literally tapered, you were cutting off. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was a tough journey.
Where were you training?
A gym in Bolton called Strength Factory, with a lad called Andrew Ibbott.
Yeah.
And he's been fucking awesome with me. I've stuck with him since.
He's still
with
there
everything
now,
I want to go on to do next. I couldn't have got to where I got without him. He was phenomenal. Obviously my family again, because some of the days when you're eating next to no calories and you get grumpy as fuck, and they're like, I haven't put up with you coming home and just snapping at the drop of that. But it was a good journey. I got to, I think I dropped like 2 stone or something in about 3 months.
It's amazing.
I went from 16 down to 14, but I was in really good nick. Obviously, this lockdown screwed that up a little bit. Finding booze and barbecues last summer was nice, but we're back on it now and back training. I mean, one of the last times we saw was in the gym, in Liverpool doing the video for Right Flank.
We were filming when we up at training station. With Barry and Kieran.
Good day that.
It was good.
I've still got all the photos of that day. But so it's just now looking for the next thing and push forward onto something new.
Well, you're training now in MMA, aren't you?
I started training with Stapes over in Rochdale at SBG. I was hoping to fight, but that's just been put on the back burner for the minute.
And you'll be the first ever lower amputee
in the UK. There's a Yank that did it. He fought over it, and I've been speaking to him, just trying to find out what leg he had and what he used to get to do it. And I even suggested to him like having like a charity fight, me against him kind of thing, England versus America. But he's unfortunately retired from the game now, so. But I'll get to it eventually. I've just got a few things in the pipeline now that have popped up that weren't expected, but I'll get to them and I'll get back to that.
You've gone from like career to career within the last 2 years, like so fast. Like you've gone, because you were working for a charity, weren't you?
I'm Challenge for Change in Manchester, a big high ropes indoor assault centre. We work with like disabled people, disadvantaged people, and just show them what you can still achieve. And
it's amazing.
Doing like motivational talks and stuff like that. I loved it.
And then we met up for a coffee, and you started doing the bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Then you went on to the MMA.
Yeah.
Which you're still doing now. Then you went and did your close protection.
Yep.
And you started doing CP. Then you went on to, you're doing your new course next month, is it?
End of 22nd of March I start.
And what's that?
I'm going to be the first amputee indoor skydiving instructor in the UK.
And also you're playing for
Wigan Warriors Rugby League.
And you're going to go and play for...
Hopefully playing for England.
I can't keep up with you, mate.
And that's, don't forget the golf as well. I was a pro golfer for 3 years. That was, again, somebody said to me, you'll never do it. And I was just like, all right, screw you, I'm going to do it.
Your bio on Instagram just goes, my name's Aaron or something like that.
I just have to keep changing it. I can't put too much on. So it's like, instead of putting what my new thing is, so people have to try and keep up, I just be like, Aaron Moon.
So obviously you have a passion and a new love for these new sports. You go into it. Do you go into it going, right, I'm an amputee and I'm going to show the world what I can do, or show myself and my family what I can do? Or do you just go into it thinking, I'm just an average Joe, I just want to...
I don't know. I think with the rugby, I played for Wigan. They set up Physical Disabled Rugby League, which is full contact rugby. Slight variation on the rules to normal rugby league, but pretty much the same game. But I played rugby all my life, and I got this opportunity to go back playing rugby for Wigan Warriors, which I've loved Wigan all my life. It is my team, so I like to get the opportunity to wear that Wigan shirt. It was amazing. I led the team out for our first game against St Helens, which if you're going to play a game of rugby league for Wigan Warriors, it's got to be against Saints on it. And my little boy was the mascot, so we're all lined up on pitch, little lad with me, Wigan badge on, like me, I was welling up and everything. It was brilliant.
Proud moment for him, like seeing his old man.
Proud moment for me wearing that badge. It was phenomenal. But I lasted 3 minutes.
Really?
I went for an interception, and and the guy who was passing the ball got tackled, so he kept hold. I turned to go back and join the line. As I turned, that dodgy left knee just went, and I think now I've got one ligament left in my left knee, and that's it. But yeah, so I did that 2 years ago, and then I got back into training, started getting strong, trained for the Mr. Liverpool. Obviously lockdown screwed that one up. But yeah, I got strong. I mean, like I was leg pressing ridiculous amounts, squatting crazy amounts.
The videos you were sending me, you can put that on social media, and I think you're like something stupid, something 16 plates on it, something like that.
Well, my leg's not gonna get tired, is it?
I can't do that with 2 legs.
But yeah, I did that, and then that kind of lockdown kicked in, so it just obviously wasn't meant to be. The show got cancelled, everything. So instead of just sitting around waiting for it to come back ever again, I thought, all right, I'll just have to move on to something else. So I started training with Stapes. I've always loved watching fighting. I think most military lads love fighting to some extent. I did a bit of boxing in the Corps. So yeah, I was like, I'll give this a bash. I've got a big interest. Got talking to the guys at Reorg, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu charity, the Royal Marine lads. They put me onto Stapes, so I went down to his gym, started training with him. But then lockdown kicked in again, and that put a bit of a squash on that for the time being. But yeah, I wanted to fight, which would have been really good. But then they announced they were going to have a disabled rugby league World Cup, and obviously being a rugby lad all my life, I was like, I've got to give this a chance.
Your call,
There's no way I'd kick myself if I had the opportunity to try and play for England, and I just passed it up. I thought the fighting will still be there down the line. I can come back to it.
You're still young, though, aren't you?
I'm 34 this year, so I've still got a bit of time in me. In my head, I'm still like 20, so...
I'm like that. I'm still 25.
Yeah, you do, don't you? You just don't grow up.
I've just turned 36, but in my head, I'm still 25 because I always think of that person that left the military.
Yeah.
And that's when my, like...
It only feels like yesterday.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm 20. And people go, how old are you? I go, it's happened a few times. I go, I'm 25. And people looked at me going, you look like shit, mate.
You've had a hard life.
You've had a paper round in...
Uphill in Beirut.
Basra. You know what I mean?
But yeah, no, for me, like, I had that idea of, like, here's a chance to represent my country, which I think serving in the military, your country's everything. Yeah. I'm hoping. I got back playing for Wigan just before Christmas. So the Wigan training, I think, was scheduled for the first Friday in April. To start back training because of lockdown rules and Robin Park opening up and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll be back there in April. And I touched in with the England coach, which is a guy called Sean Briscoe, ex-Wigan player. I was talking to him the other day, and he's going to be the coach. And he said hopefully end of March, start of April, they're going to start looking at the trials and training and stuff like that. So I just have to get myself back in a bit of shape, and I'll be back and go and put my best on field, and hopefully I'll do enough to get in that England shirt.
Mate, I've got I've got all faith in you, mate.
Cheers,
honestly. So going back to the MMA, because obviously I love MMA. That's what I love. That's my sport. So I've never followed football or anything like that. I've always loved MMA. So what styles do you train in?
Well, I've been doing quite a bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Stapes, but like no gi kind of stuff. More footwork. It's been like the basics kind of thing with Stapes at the minute, because it, like I say, it's not one of them things. Like, it's not one of them sports that you can just turn around and go, oh, fancy that, I'll go and do it, and you get your head kicked in. So, like I say, even if I'd stuck to it this year, it probably wouldn't have been this year. I'd be fighting anyway. If it had been, it'd be the end of the year, and it'd be like a bit of a what are they called now? Where you put a exhibition. That's the word.
Exhibition.
Yeah. Put a bit of an exhibition on, and it wouldn't have been a genuine fight to start off with, because I'm still way off where I'd need to be to jump in the ring, or the octagon, should I say. But yeah, it was just one of the things. I think if I try anything, I've got to be the best me at it.
Of course.
I'll never think you're going to be the best in the world. Like, you look at the MMA, you look at the top lads in that game, and
they've been training since they were kids. You know what I mean?
For me, it's just, I want to, everything I do, I want to be able, like when I was a pro golfer, and the reason I got out of pro golf, and people think I'm crazy, because I played at quite a good standard, all regional PGA events. I got to play at the Scottish Open Pro-Am with Tommy Fleetwood. So yeah, I've had some fantastic experience with it, and I've got a bit of ability there.
Yeah.
But I just walked away from it, and people are like, "Are you crazy?" Like,
is that just because the passion died out? You found a new passion, or do you think you?
I don't think I ever had a proper passion for the golf. I enjoy it. I love playing it, but
because someone told you couldn't.
Yeah, it was more when I first started doing it and I turned pro. I used to get loads of messages on Instagram, social media, and stuff like that, saying like, "Mate, you've inspired," like off disabled people saying, "I'm not a big golfer, but you've inspired me to get back into sport."
Brilliant.
Or like what
And
you've
that's
done
what
has
it's
just
all
got me
about.
off the couch. Yeah, it's like you've given me that motivation to actually live my life again, and it was brilliant. But then, like 3 years in, it got to a point where the messages started stopping and slowing down, and it was more I was just doing it for myself. And I got to a point where I was like, do I enjoy this enough to do it just for me if I'm not actually inspiring or helping people anymore? And like, I don't want to come across like big-headed thinking like, oh, look at me, I'm amazing, I can do this, like, go and smash it. Like, I want to be able to show people like, it's not it's not easy, but if you really want it, you can do it. You can achieve anything. Like, I heard a saying once, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right.
Yeah.
So I want to always be that guy who says I can.
Yeah.
And no matter how many hurdles I have to jump over, no matter how many times I get knocked down, I'll keep going until I achieve where I want to be. And like I say, with the fighting, I don't want to be the best in the world. I'll probably only ever have the one fight, but I want to push myself to that point where I know I did well enough to get in the octagon and fight and show people that there's still fight in me just because I've got one leg. It doesn't matter.
No.
And I mean, with the rugby, I've played it all my life, and to be given that opportunity to go and play for Wigan, and then hopefully this year possibly on that England shirt, it's like
that'd be amazing.
It'd be awesome. That is one thing that I'd have the passion that's for me.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping the world will get to see the World Cup, and they'll see lads like from all over the world. I think there's England, Scotland, Wales, New Zealand, and Australia that are putting teams in the Disabled World Cup.
Brilliant.
So to see lads coming together and playing and still hitting each other out, because the passion's still there, just because you got and like some of the hits are phenomenal. Like some of the tackles are probably crazier than the actual rugby league that you can watch, and like to be able to see all them lads, because then it's not just you're in a team again. Like I was in the Marines, and you're part of that. And like the golf was kind of like I was on my own and I was out there showing the world myself. But now I'll be part of a team, and it's not just about me, it's about them, and we're gonna go on, and hopefully if we can do, if I get selected, we can go on and play for England and win the World Cup. It'd be amazing because it's in England as well. But yeah, it's like then I'll come back to the fighting idea, and I'll do it. And all along, these are all whilst I'm still working as well. I'll be doing my indoor skydiving, and hopefully I want to work towards getting me out like my actual skydiving license as well. So I'll be doing that for my living, and
dare I see airborne marine?
Oh no, it'll still be a bootneck all the way through. But it'd be phenomenal, mate. And I think I'll always, even after the fighting, if it happens or it doesn't, either way, I'll do my best to make it happen. After that, it'll be then, what can we do next? Like, where do we go next?
Have you got anything in mind?
There's always like
your missus watches and go, oh my god, what now?
I always see things on the. To be fair, she gets the brunt of it because I always run it by her first and say, I've seen this on telly, and she was like, no, you're not doing that one.
I'm like that with my missus. Go, you know what I'm thinking? She's like, you know what I mean? I go from like doing this to brands to podcasts.
I've recently got a mountain bike, proper downhill type style, and
I've seen you.
I've been watching it, and
like,
I'm like,
was that photo you put on the other day? And you sat there, and what didn't your leg break?
Oh, my leg fell off. Yeah.
And like any normal person, any normal cyclist will get a flat tire, or the chain will come off, or whatever, the handlebars fall off, or they fucking go over the handlebars or down an hill, and you're sat there and go, my legs fell off.
Yeah,
I looked at it, and then if I was anyone else, I wanted to go, oh my god, I went, Aaron again.
No, not.
Like,
I've been down a place near mine where there's loads of hills and stuff. Been doing some off, and then I cycled home on the main road, and I got to some lights, and I was at the red light. And then just as they're starting to turn, I went to go really quick, and my foot fell off the pedal. But because my leg had been sweating, the rubber liner that I have to wear to hold my leg on slipped off a bit. So my leg was dangling off, so I managed to get it back on the pedal, go through the traffic lights because it was like a crossroads. And luckily there was a pub on the junction, so I pulled into the pub car park. I had to take my leg off fully and then get it back on to be able to make my way home. And I was just sat on the car park thinking like, what a knobhead. But I think I've started going to like a bit higher up, more downhill runs and stuff. And
Cool.
like, I don't know, there might be something I can chuck in there using that. Maybe some charity event with the skydive. My head's constantly.
All I can see is doing the Red Bull downhill,
Yeah.
those mountains.
I've got my missus always said it's like a hamster wheel in my head. It's just constantly like with a little hamster like that, going like 10 to a dozen with all these different ideas.
Is it always physical with you? Is it always a physical activity, a physical sport, if you like?
Quite a lot of the time, yeah, because I've always been a sporty lad. I like doing things that test me.
Yeah.
But I always want to try and do it where it's going to push my leg to its limit as well.
Because you always go for sports that are more leg driven.
Yeah.
Like rugby and MMA and stuff like that, and cycling and stuff. Is that because you've lost a leg? You think you need to?
I think when I train, I overcompensate because I love leg day. Like most people think I'm a fucking weirdo for it, but I love it because I can do it. Yeah. And like, I went for a bike ride yesterday with my mate. He was running. He's training to do a marathon at the minute, so I carried a few of his bits just to get my legs moving a little bit because we'd done like a 2-mile run the day before, so my legs were a bit tired.
Yeah.
So I jumped on the bike and cycled along with him, carrying some of his bits to help him out.
Yeah.
And we were going through this like nice little park area with like a load of nice countryside next to us and stuff. And we both said to each other, like, we take this for granted. Like, we've got this around us all the time. We're out exercising. And like, I think beforehand, like having 2 legs, I took that for granted to an extent. And now I've got prosthetic, I'll do everything I can to not take it for granted what I can still achieve. So I think that drives me for a lot of my challenges. Like with the golf, when somebody said I can't, I was like, why not? I can do this.
Yeah.
With everything else, I've done some crazy challenges for charity. I mean, because I played rugby for the Navy when I was in, and the Navy team did the 3 peaks in honour of me when I got blown up, and I just had an operation on my leg, so I couldn't wear a prosthetic. So I met him at Snowdon, went up on the train bit to near the top, and then did up to the peak with him on crutches. And there was we always laugh because we got to the top and we're coming down. And have you been to the top of Snowdon? Like where the peak is, there's them horrible steps in there.
Yeah.
So I'm on that one leg on crutches coming down, and all the lads behind me, and there was some woman behind them, and she was like, "Come on, get a move on. We're all doing the 3 peaks here." And none of the lads said anything to her. They were all like, "What fucking bitch." Got to the bottom of the steps and she saw me on crutches. She was like, "Oh." And it was like, well, she just wished she could just jump off the side of the mountain at that point.
Proper in between us moments on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
I'm going to hell.
I was stood there. She was like proper sank. I was like, yeah, sorry, love. It's took me fucking ages to get up here on crutches. And like we made out that I'd done the whole Snowdon. And there's me sat on train, like coming up nice and jolly. But no, like, yeah, I mean, I did a challenge once. We had, between 4 of us, we had to hit a million yards with the golf ball on a driving range. We started like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was something like, I think we hit, can't remember how many balls I hit that day, but by the end of it, my hands were stuck like that. You couldn't straighten your fingers or anything. There's like I lose track of the bodybuilding that took up a good year of my life.
Yeah.
But I like doing things. I like it, and like, I've done quite a bit of motivational speaking, done talks for schools and businesses and stuff like that.
Do you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, I love it. I love, like I say, even when I do my talks, it's all about making yourself better, not about dwelling on what's happened. It's the obstacles and overcoming and what's coming next. I never really go into, like, obviously, I've got to touch on it because that's where it come from, and that's why people want you. Because everybody wants to hear the story and how you got injured, and that is part of it. But I try not to go over it too much. I try and look at other positive. And like, if I can get in a route, like I did a talk for Liverpool Football Club's community foundation the other day. They were doing a bit on disability and inclusion and stuff like that. And they had loads of like guests that had disabilities and stuff. Sorry about that, mate.
No.
So yeah, they had loads of people with disabilities that were looking to, and like I've had a few messages from that saying like, can you give me advice on getting into sport? I want to play this, I want to do that. If you got any advice, and anybody messages me on social media, I'll get back to them straight away. Like, because that is my account. Like, I post fun stuff on there, post stuff about my family, but my life is trying to help and inspire other people, but enjoying it at the same time. I don't want to be that, like I said before. It's not, oh, look at me, I'm this amazing guy that just helps it's not, because like now the indoor skydiving, yeah, it's showing people that you can achieve this, but I'm gonna go on to have a fucking awesome job from it. I mean, I get go indoor skydiving every day. What kind
I
of?
think that's the first activity that you're doing that doesn't require using your legs.
Yeah, pretty much. It probably, well, I'll say it helped me, but obviously you've got to get your body into that position.
Like
yeah,
that,
it throws you off a little bit, but I mean, it's a career. It pays the bills, and
that's it.
I get to have fun. Like I don't have to grow up doing it, and I can enjoy my life and still try and help and inspire others. So I think that's where I'm at with everything that I do and want to do.
Yeah.
I'll never just if somebody turned around to me and went, "Oh, would you do this to help other people?" I'd do it, but I don't want to do it if I'm gonna hate it. I want to because then I feel if I'm gonna hate it, I'm not gonna help anybody because it's not gonna be fun for me. So they're not gonna want to watch me doing it. I mean, like I've done. I lose track of what I've done, to be fair.
I struggle to keep up.
Yeah.
I literally struggle to keep up with you.
I think that's where my missus comes in hand, because she reminds us, no, you've done that. Don't move, like try that instead. And
ground you sort of thing.
Oh yeah, just don't be a dick. You can't do that. That is stupid. Now just slow down a little bit. But no, I'll keep going, and I'm open to suggestions as well. People get in touch with me all the time saying, "Do you fancy this?" And I'll do it with you and stuff. And if it's something decent, I'll jump on it. I'll give anything a go once.
Well, I say on your episode, there'll be links not to your you know, to your Insta and your profiles and stuff like that. So anyone that will get in touch with you, they probably will. Those people probably will get in touch with you. Have you got anything you could give to, like, advice you can give to anyone that's gone through, not just an amputee or through trauma or anything like that? Anyone that's been through anything tough, that's struggling to motivate and get out of bed in the mornings. What advice would you give?
A couple of things really. I'd probably say start small. Aim small, miss small, all that. Just get up earlier one day. If you get up at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, even if you get up at midday because you're feeling a bit down in the dump, get up at 11. Go downstairs, make yourself a brew. Just that one day, and then the next day, like, get up at, if you're just lacking the motivation to get out and do it, get up at 6 o'clock one morning, go for a run. Just one morning, do a 6 o'clock run, come in, and all your neighbours will be looking out the windows and seeing you do it and be like, fucking hell, who's this guy now? And you'll be surprised the next day you'll want to get up again and do it, and you just do that little bit every time. And I always find as well, I heard a story once, and it rings 100% true. I think it was Will Smith that came out with it, and he talked about going skydiving, and I'll vouch for this because I can remember doing it when I was in the Corps. We did adventure training, and he said, like, the greatest things in life are always on the other side of fear. So be it fear of heights or doing something, you've got fear of it, you do it and achieve it, it'll be fantastic. But it could be a fear of just getting out of the house. But you finally get through that fear, you'll find some amazing things on the other side. And the way he says it is with his skydive, he said he can remember sitting on the edge of the plane, and you sit there and your bum's half in, half out, and we did static line first. So you sat there, you're attached to the plane, and the plane pulls your parachute for you. So you sat there looking at this loading. When we do it in the Marines, we were on a plane doing adventure training with paras, army, RAF, everything. So the lads are at the back of the plane saying, don't jump, you go get filled in when we land. Like, we can't show up, we can't not jump in front of all these. We've got to be the big tough Royal Marines and all that. So you sat on the edge of this plane looking out, like, possible death on that side. But if I don't jump towards that possible death, I'm going to get filled in by my mates. So you're like, death looks a lot more appealing. But you sat there looking at this guy, and he's like, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and you're going to jump, and he goes 3, and you're like, nope. And he goes 2, and you're like, nope. And he's like 1, and you chuck yourself out the plane. And as soon as that chute opens and you look around, he's fantastic. It's an amazing experience. And I was shitting myself in that plane. But I did it, and once I did it,
once you go over that hurdle,
I got to the floor and I was like, get me back up there, I want to do it again. I've never been a big fan of heights. My previous job, I worked in a high ropes centre doing things 30 foot up in the air.
Because bootnecks, you live on ropes.
Stay on the floor.
You live on ropes.
Yeah, I don't.
Especially Livingston.
Oh, well, to be fair, now though, like, I took the job, and like a lot of it, I was dangling from, I got my European ropes course qualification. So I'd go up and fixing things, like, you'd be dangling on, like, the thinnest rope, 30, 40 foot up in the air with nothing but concrete below you. And, like, it was mint. Like, I loved it, but when I first got up there, even, like, just before I left the job, I'd get up there straight away and I'd be like, this is fucking horrible. But then 10 minutes later, you settled in it and you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with anything and it's that fear of actually, what if?
Yeah.
But what if you didn't? Like, if you go through that fear, you'll find amazing things. And if you don't, you've not lost anything.
Yeah.
I think, what if you don't do it? I always look at that
You
side.
live
Yeah.
in regret. Yeah.
I always think that my biggest things I regret in life are the things I didn't do. Hence why I've gone back to the rugby, because if I passed up that opportunity to play for England, like I say, I've not got the shirt yet, but fingers crossed, touch wood, I should get it this year. But if I didn't go back and give it a try, I'd be broken for the rest of my life, thinking I could have played for England.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was one thing, like, I was proper into the MMA, but as soon as that opportunity popped up, I was like, it's going to have to go on the back burner because I can't.
That's when you know that's your true passion, you know what I mean?
And I think, like I say, the only things you'll ever regret are things you don't do.
Yeah.
You'll never regret. If you do something and it don't work, it's a lesson. It's not, like, you never fall, you learn.
Yeah.
So, like, if you try something and it don't work, you try again. It's like, they say, is it Thomas Edison, the guy who did the light bulb? He found thousands of ways that it didn't work, but he's always remembered for the one way that did.
There's fall down 7, get up 8, innit?
Yeah, that's
you
the thing. You'll always be remembered for the things you achieve, not the things you failed at.
Yeah.
But you'll never achieve anything if you don't fail.
Yeah.
You've got to
go through that to get
Nobody's ever, like, when I played the golf, I had some shocking rounds.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was tough at times. I never thought I'd do it, but I did. There's loads of things that, like, I've always failed at first.
Yeah.
I think everything I've done, like the bodybuilding, I started off with that for the first few months. Like, Andy was always in my ear, like, no, mate, you're smashing it, keep it going. Like yourself, you were always, mate, you look mega, you're doing awesome. And in the back of my head, I'm like, nothing's fucking happening here. I'm not changing at all. And then all of a sudden, you get to, like, I got to a point where I was like, this is shit, I'm never going to make it. And then you'd be like, you'd lapse and be like, oh, I might as well just have a beer, I'm not going to do it. And that'd be my failing, because I'd have that beer that night. And then the next day I wake up and be like, yeah, you failed last night, but don't do it again. And you've learnt from it. So then I pushed on, and lo and behold, it was working all along, and I got to where I needed to be. But yeah, I think everything I've done and I've been successful at is because I failed first.
Yeah.
And I've learnt from it. So no matter what your fear is or what you're going through at the time, there's always something you can do that day. Just do one little thing that'll make you better. Every day I try and think to myself, what have I done today that makes me better than I was yesterday?
Yeah.
And if I've not done anything that day, I'll then try and smash something out before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And if I don't end up doing it, the next day I wake up and be like, well, yesterday wasn't a good one, was it? Let's do more today.
Let's do double today.
And every day, just a little, even if it's like, for me, I'm not a spiritual guy or anything like that, but even if it's get up 10 minutes early and go, I've got like one of them acupressure mats that sticks all over the pins in your back and stuff, but it chills you out. If it's get up 10 minutes early, put some chill music on and get on that.
So what to do? So you lie on the mat and then...
Yeah, basically it's a mat with a load of little circles with pins on, and it hits all the acupressure points on your back. It doesn't pierce your back.
Just stabs you, like?
Yeah, pretty much. They don't go through your skin, but it puts like little spikes on your back. But mate, first 5 minutes on it, you're like, oh shit. But then after 5 minutes, I've never been as chilled in my life. Every time I get on it, I fall asleep. It's awesome. But if I get up 10 minutes early and get on that and just start my day with that to freshen up, and you get up from that,
like releases pressure?
Yeah, pretty much. Because all the blood rushes to your back to where the spikes are to try and protect your body. So everything just relaxes and your back gets really warm and you're just like, fucking hell, this is mint. But like all that, get up and have a brew, read a book.
Yeah.
Just read like 2 pages, 3 pages of a book, like a self-help book or a motivational book, or even like I started learning Spanish at the start of the first lockdown on an app on my phone.
Yeah.
I've kind of come off that with everything else that's going on, but I'd get up 10 minutes early and just go and do 10 minutes on my app. And that 10 minutes, then I know I've started my day successfully.
Yeah.
So the rest of the day can only get better because I've achieved something already. I'm winning that day.
You're already ahead
when I've started. So I think people get up and they just laze about a bit, get on the phones.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of that as much as anybody else. Like go to bed, playing your phone for half an hour before you go to sleep when you should probably be getting your head down. Get up in the morning, check your phone, check your Instagram, your Facebook and stuff. And 9 times out of 10, you'll check your Facebook or something, and one of the first stories you'll see is somebody moping or some bad news, or it's never positivity first thing.
No.
And you're setting your day up then
On a negative.
to start negatively. Whereas if you get up, go and make yourself a brew, read a book, or do a bit of exercise, just go out for a walk, 10-minute walk. It don't have to be something to change your whole life or burn loads of calories. I've got to proper thrash myself. Just walk around. If you live near a park, go and have a walk around the park. Just walk around your block 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You've started your day off with a positive, and you've set yourself up then. And I guarantee, if you do something like that when you start your day, the rest of the day you'll be like, well, I've achieved that already. What can I achieve next? What can I achieve? And you'll just go on. And by the time you go to bed at night, you'll be buzzing.
That's it. It's like I've started reading more books now. Like you said, you touched on books. I've started buying more books. I'm buying obviously veteran written books like Gary Green and Kev Naylor and stuff like that. And it's about their stories. And it's like, even though their books are not negative, there's negatives in them. It's like I'm reading those negatives and then comparing them to the positives of what they've done. You know what I mean? So it's like any debrief, as you know, when you're debriefing the lads or you're getting debriefed, say after a range day or after an exercise or after like, I don't know, a section attack or something like that, you always start with the negatives. Yeah. And say, right, this is that, that's wrong, that was crap, blah, blah. But then you always end on a high. Yeah. And go, but this was absolutely mega. And that's what, it's always about positivity. Right down to social media. I've got 2 phones. So I've taken all the social media off my main phone, like everything, and put it on my other phone. And the only reason I can use that other phone is if I've got Wi-Fi. So it's only done when I'm in the house. So when I'm out now, and it's just, I'm only been doing it for a few days just to trial it, but while I'm out, I haven't got social media. You know what I mean? So I can't just go on there and just look. So it's like, so it's just sit there like going for me WhatsApp messages going, well, I didn't want to look at that, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I've noticed the past few days I've been lifting my head up more. And I think, like, if you look, I reckon if you're looking like into the future 50 years, humans be all hunched over. Yeah, massively. With big muscly thumbs, you know what I mean? It's like, I've noticed that now I've started like not using social media as much. I'm looking up more. I'm like this weekend's like a really nice weekend. Yeah. The sun's out, you know what I mean? It's like looking out like, you know what?
This is nice, this.
I'm sick of technology. I really am, you know what I mean?
Well, you look at that, there was a picture, I think it was Harry's wedding. Harry and Meghan's wedding, and there's like everybody's crowded around taking photos, and there's that little old lady,
just sat there,
and she's just sat there watching it, and you're like, who's actually experiencing this?
Enjoying
like,
the moment.
She's living in that moment and experiencing that, and she'll have that memory. Yeah, she won't have it on a phone, but she'll remember the day. The rest of them,
because it'll be in the papers.
Yeah, the rest of them will be like, I remember what I saw on my phone, but I don't remember the day.
Yeah.
And I read a book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. If you've never read it, mate, it's unbelievable. It really is. And it's about this lawyer or something, and he's like the top of his game, owns a Ferrari, big mansion, everything. Yeah. He has a heart attack in court, and it's wrote by his young protege kind of thing. And this lawyer just disappears off the face of the planet. They all think he's dead. And he ends up going living with all these monks up in the hills and stuff. And they teach him their ways, and he comes back and passes this story on to his protege and says, like, look, you need to change your life. This is... Yeah. And the one bit I remember the most, and I won't go into too much because if anybody does want to read it, it's well worth it. But they talk about this journey that they travel on, and, like, there's different things along the way, and one's like a garden with toxic waste next to it, and they're like, why would you if you had that beautiful garden, would you pour this toxic waste on that beautiful garden? And it's meant to symbolise your mind and your thoughts. And the beautiful gardens, your brain and your thoughts and your process, and the toxic waste's what you allow in. Yeah. And if you've got a beautiful mind to be able to do whatever you want, and anybody can achieve anything if you set your mind to it and you work at it, would you then let negativity, thoughts, bad things, would you put that on top of your beautiful garden? Or would you look at it and think like, no, we need to put the positivity in there, develop it, put the right feed and stuff like that, and
knowledge, education,
grow my garden. And I think after that was probably one of my biggest turning points of recent times when I read that book, and I was like, yeah, I get this. Like, let's start putting more positivity in rather than negativity. And if I follow something on Instagram or something like that, and it just ends up like proper dripping all the time, I'll just delete it straight off. I have nothing to do with it. Yeah. And I've tried, like, without going too spiritual and a bit like fairified, but I've tried just keeping as much positivity in my life as possible. And don't get me wrong, you have bad days. There's days where I'm like fucking miserable, and my missus will probably vouch for that quite a bit. But I try and outweigh that with the amount of days. Like, we always try and make sure every weekend, when the world's back to normal, every weekend we try and do something as a family.
Yeah.
We get out for a walk, we go somewhere, we do something. With no phones. Me and my missus, we'll turn our phone off. No texting, no internet. My little boy, he's got one of them Nintendo Switches. He's not allowed to take it with him.
Yeah.
And we'll get out and do something as a family.
Yeah.
And that, I always find when we get home that day, we're all proper buzzing and happy. And they're the best times. And you're never going to get them times back. So why waste it in your phone?
That's it. It's like, that's why, like, weekends, I always say to myself, like, do the podcast, but then I always say, right, after that, it's family time. Going away, we get out there, we have fun. You know what I mean? Like, obviously training for this next event in May, for the block. We get out doing fizz and stuff like that. And so we're out as a family doing it. So, you know, we go out to the fields, and me and Mrs. do fitness and stuff like that. The baby just runs around crazy. You know what I mean? And then we come back in, and it's like, we're all burnt out. We have a bit of scoff, and then we chill. We have like movie nights and stuff like that. And compared to, and you probably vouch for it, from being in Afghan into like skydiving to like, you know, from doing your MMA, your bodybuilding, and constantly bang, bang, go, go, go. The best moments are in the field or up a mountain with your family, or on the couch chilling, watching Disney films.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
what I mean? And they're the best times because, like you said, positivity breeds positivity. And if you're doing positive things and good things and physical and attributes, and you're beating yourself constantly, then when you go and sit on that couch, you sit there and go, today I've smashed it, I've had a good day today. Even if you just walk to a mile down the road to a farm and you're seeing your kids have fun, that's a positive, because you're feeding off their positivity, and then they're feeding off your positivity and your laughter and your, you know, and it breeds and breeds and breeds and breeds.
Yeah, definitely.
But like you said, it only takes one person to come in and drop one negative thought, and you dwell on it. And I'm the worst for it. You know what I mean, like driving in, then, you know, Sean will tell you, we're driving in, and it's like someone cuts us up in a car, and like, and I try, in my head, I'm like, don't take it the wrong way. Who cares? He's cut you up. Fuck him. You know what I mean? But then I'm like, that split moment, I'm like, you smelly little old man. You know what I mean? I'm fuming. You know what I mean? I'm like, right, that's, and then I go, yeah, that's fucking. But years ago, I'd chase that car down. And cut him up, and like, where's gonna get you? You know what I mean?
That's like that garden thing again, though. You're letting somebody's outside activity affect your day.
Wreck my day,
He's not going to even know that he's pissed you off.
No.
He's gone. He probably didn't even mean to. He's just pulled in, thought, oh shit, I've cut him up.
I don't even think he knew he was driving, to be honest. I don't even think he knew where he was. You know what I mean?
But that's like, there's another, you might have seen it, that it's quite popular, ex-Navy SEAL. He did a talk for a school, I think it was, and it's all about making your bed. And he talks about when you get up in the morning, make sure you make your bed. And it's like what I was saying before about going for a walk or reading a book. If you make your bed and you go on to have the worst day ever,
at least you've done something positive. You've
started your day with a positive. I think that's completed a task.
That's good. Yeah, I think that is good. But then, what me and Vinnie Jones spoke about on the last episode was, sometimes people can't even get out of bed. You know what I mean? And that's the extreme. Then, you know what I mean? But like, I do agree. If you get out of that bed, if you manage to get out of that bed, just make it. Even if it's just a quick whip of the sheets and it covers up the stains. You know what I mean? As long as you've done that.
Even if you fail everything else that day, this guy goes on to say it. You come back to that bed at night. Who doesn't like coming back to a made bed? You don't want to come home at night and your bed's a mess when you've had a shit day. You've come home and you think, actually, I achieved something today because look at this. This looks nice. For those that can't get out of bed, it's like I was saying before, just get up and go make a brew. Come and get back in bed with your brew. But go and make a brew. Put the kettle a bit further away. Like, make sure it's not in the same room, depending on what your house is like and stuff. Make sure you've got to physically get up, go make that brew, come back to bed. If that's the way you have to. But you've then achieved something. You've put your feet on the floor. You've got out of that bed. Even if you come and you spend the rest of the day back in that bed, you know you can get out of it. And then the next day, have 2 brews in the day. 3. And then just slowly.
Micro goals.
That's it. You only start small. Like, everything I've done and luckily achieved, I've never started at the finish, and you always start with that first. Like when the bodybuilding was probably the best example of it. Like, I was lifting nothing, like I felt weak, and then like I was lifting in my garden the other day, and I got some plates and a bar, because I'd not trained for quite a while over lockdown, I was like, I went and picked things up and I was like, bloody hell, I feel weak again.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
But if I didn't start and I didn't feel weak and I didn't lift them weights, like lesser weights, I wouldn't get onto heavier weights and I wouldn't get to where I want to be. So everything you do, it's just little steps. Start off small, just get grad, and it snowballs. It really does.
It does. But I think even like with like inspirational like athletes like yourself that like have done so much, when you start a new sport or even going back to an old sport and an old passion, if you've had time off, you're in that, you still have that same problem, that same mindset as someone who's never done it before, that once you get going, struggling to get going, because you've got to remotivate yourself.
Yeah.
And I've done it before. I've powerlifted, I've bodybuilt, I've done strongman. You know what I mean? And when I'm in there, I'm in peak, I'm in my prime, I'm strong and I'm happy. You know what I mean? But then when you take time off, or you have an injury, or with myself, it's normally I go back to my old ways with my mental health, and I go in the dark place, and then when I come back out of it, I'm back to that same place where someone who's never done it before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you've got to remotivate yourself. And it's like yourself, you inspire and motivate people to do stuff, but at the same time, you have to motivate and inspire yourself to get going, to do
definitely.
that. And that's what people don't really realise, you know what I mean?
The best example at the minute for me would be if you check out on the Instagram, like you'll probably seen it the other day, I was on the rugby pitch and we have a drill called the Bronco, and we do it for this at the start of the season. And you run 20 metres back to the try line, run 40 metres back to the try line, run 60 metres back to the try line 5 times without stopping it. It's the quickest time.
Yeah.
And then by the end of pre-season, you'll do it again, and hopefully you'll
like
be fitter.
Yeah.
But like obviously rugby specific. So I was like the other day, I've not trained. Like we finished training in November or December, I think it were, pre-Christmas. We broke up for Christmas, and then lockdown it again, and we couldn't go back to training. So I've not trained since December on a pitch, and I got over Christmas, food took over, beer again, and the other day I was sat there and I was like, right, we've got this goal this year. We want to try and get that England shirt. I want to play for Wigan either way.
Yeah.
I want to represent Wigan the best I can and be the best player I can. So I was like, yeah, you need to get your fat ass off the couch and let's go and do something. So I strapped my boots on, went down the rugby pitch, and I proper let it go, and I really wished I could breathe out my arse that night. Yeah. But I did it, and now every day since getting out and doing that drill, I've trained. I've been on my bike. I've been doing a weighted vest session in my kitchen or something like that. I've been for a run. I've done something, because it was just that one day I had to go out and realise. But I realised before Christmas I weren't as fit as I've been, because the previous lockdowns, like I got lazy at times. Like I started off first lockdown amazing, smashing garden workouts, top off everything. It was mint. And then slowly as the weather started turning, you don't want to train in your garden because it's shit. You start and you drop off, and then Christmas hits, food, and I realised the other night when I got back out on that pitch, I've got a long way to go before I get to where I want to be for this season. But I will be there, because now I've realised where I'm at. I've got that starting point now, and I know I'm nowhere near where I need to be.
You know what you can do.
I've got to go through them dark days. Like my mate who I go running with and stuff. He's only a short guy, but he went from like 16 stone, and he was a big lad. He was ex-army.
Yeah.
And he come out of the army, put a shitload of weight on, smoking, drinking, and he lost it all and he did a fantastic job. So he's been there. So when we're out running and stuff, or we're training together, like it gets dark. Like doing that drill the other night, we did that, and then we went on to do another one called a Malcolm, where you've got 3 cones set out. You start at the middle one, you run backwards, down on your chest, up, run through 20 meters, down on your chest, up, back to the start, down on your chest, and you do that, and that's 1 rep, and we did 5 of them, and like it gets dark. Like I was in proper hurt locker, and it needs to be done. Like I did it, and while I was doing it, I was like wanting to throw up. My body was screaming, just stop. I got home, I jumped in bath, and I was like a nice little bit of salts in the bath. Got out, sat down, had me scrambled, because I trained. I ate healthy. Yeah. Because I was like, I'm not going to do that now by eating some shit.
No, that's a natural thing.
It's like a knock-on effect. And then I got in bed that night. I slept probably the best night's sleep I've had in a long time.
And you got up early.
And then I get up early the next day. But I felt good because I'd started.
Yeah.
And you realise when you do something like that at the time it fucking hurts. Like getting blown up and losing a leg fucking hurts.
Yeah.
But I look at me now, 10 years down the line, and I don't feel that pain anymore.
No.
And I think whenever I come to do something stupid in my life and I do all these daft things and my missus is like, oh, not again. But other people are like, why are you doing that? You might hurt yourself and stuff. And I've realised, like, I've broke pretty much a bone from my neck down. I've ruined my whole body. And somebody's fixed me.
Exactly.
So no matter what I do, I'll get fixed, hopefully. But it's a small thing. That pain doesn't last forever.
Exactly.
So the joy of achieving something and smashing a goal
and showing your kids
phenomenal
what you can do. You know what I mean?
I've got a photo on my phone when I went to the British Open just before turning pro, and I was on Sky Sports in the open zone on the booth. It's never off there. Like if they paid me royalties, I'd be a millionaire now. Because every year when there's no golf on, they just bring that back up.
Really?
And I'm hitting balls on the range on Sky Sports, being interviewed by Claude Harmon and Di Doherty. My missus is at home. I was up in Scotland. My missus is at home, and she got a photo and sent it me. And I was on the telly, and my little boy, he'd have been 1, maybe 2, and he's walked up to the telly and he's reaching out trying to touch me on telly. And she sent me a picture of it, and I always look back at that now. Like the other night when it got tough, and I was like, oh, should we just wrap our tits in? I think back to that picture, and I'll be like, he's watching me.
That's your reason.
So if I quit, he watches me quit. Yeah. If I don't quit and I go through that pain, he'll see that and grow up with the lesson that looked like it hurt me daddy, but he carried on through, and look what we got at the end of it. So he'll learn that he can push through anything and achieve things, and he's not. I'll never want him to see me fail and give up.
No.
If I fail, I want him to see that I learn from it.
Yeah.
And he's my reason to do
swapping the word
everything.
Fail for learn is a massive thing.
Massively.
You know what I mean? And it's like, that's the whole idea of us having kids, is to make better versions of ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, I always want my daughter to be a better version of me. So every time I do something, I always make sure that she sees me giving an F. And like, I'll never, like, if I get up in the morning, we all have them. We have those days where I lie in bed and go, do you know what? Not today. But then I go, she's watching me. Get out of bed. Just get out of bed. And I pull myself out of bed. And there's been times where I've like got out of bed and stood there and looked, and I've gone, should I get back in? Can't do this today. My head's not with it. I can't do it. I got to do it. I think of hers, got to go.
Yeah, massively.
And but mate, you're a massive inspiration. Like the day I met you, and I've seen the way that you like took on the challenges, and then I look back on whatever everything else you've done, and then seeing like what you've been doing so far. Like I always keep tabs on you. Like I'm a proper stalker. Like, you know what I mean? I am with certain people. I just watch all the time. With you, I've always kept a close look on, and it's like what you've been doing. It's just inspiring. You know what I mean? So some days, like even when I have my down days, I'll go, "What are you doing?" And like, okay, your legs fell off, and you're in the pub car park, and like I laugh at it because I can laugh at it because you're my mate and all that. I go, oh, fucking hell, he's at it again. But it's like I don't look at the picture and laugh. I go, right, where is he? What's he doing? Like he's on a bike. He's doing this. He's doing that. I'm like, right, fucking like go to work.
Yeah.
Even if it's just to go to work, just go to work. You know what I mean? Like do this, do that. Like this morning, getting out for the podcast. It's like last night. I'm like, yes, I've got Aaron on. Yeah, this fucking. And then I wake up this morning and like I'm excited to come and see you. And but I'm like, gotta get out of bed. I've got to get dressed. And it's like, it's such a chore to me sometimes, you know what I mean? But then it's like, imagine next week when I get the show out and, you know, the people it's going to help. And I go, let's just do it. You know what I mean? And I get out, you know what I mean?
That's the thing. Like, I look at it now and think, like I've said before, I don't get everything right. And I have my bad days.
You know what I mean?
But I look at, like, my missus, and she does everything to support me and backs me with whatever stupid thing I do. She's never once turned around when I've said, do you know what, I'm thinking of doing this. She's never once said, well, no, that's just stupid, don't. She's always been, like, even if it is really stupid and I shouldn't do it,
she'll go give it a go.
She'll find a way of doing it diplomatically where it's like, yeah, if you want to, but think of this and think of that. And she'll point out the reasons why it's probably something that is physically impossible for me, but in my head it's not. Yeah. So she'll point that out to me and she'll be like, well, why don't you try it like this instead? Yeah. But why she does all that and I'm off doing all these stupid things. She's trying to run 2 businesses at home and like keep our house straight, look after the little boy. I come home and just like a whirlwind and cause trouble, just start fighting with my little lad, having a laugh. And she's there like been working her ass off all day, trying to run 2 businesses, keep our house afloat, and I just walk in like a tornado. And yeah, like I look at people like her and I look at my little boy and I think I still don't see in my head that I've done anything enough for him to be proud of. Yeah. So every year, and I hate quoting people all the time, but there's a speech that Matthew McConaughey gave about who's his hero.
In 10 years'
And it's
time.
him in 10 years.
Yeah.
And he knows he'll never be that person.
But it's someone to keep
Yeah,
chasing.
that's for me. Like people, I've said this to people before. Like I don't think I've done enough for my little boy to be proud. And people are like, you on crack? And I'm like, no, but
any real dad would say that. You
the
mean?
second I turn around and say, hey, right, you know what? I've done this. My little boy's gonna look at it and think, well done, Dad. That I'm proud of you. The second I start thinking like that, I'll stop.
Yeah.
The second I realise I'm comfortable, I've done enough now. I've helped people. I've enjoyed my life. I've done enough.
Yeah.
As soon as I start thinking like that, I'll stop.
Yeah.
So I need to keep in my head that
I think the day you turn around, that your kids go, I'm going to beat you.
Yeah.
You go, go on then.
Yeah.
And that's when you switch your mindset from being the best to creating the best.
Yeah, that's the
You know
thing.
what I mean? And that's when you become the, like.
I know I'll have done my job the day. Like he said to me once, he's only 5, but I've drilled in the Royal Marines to him, and he said it once, like, Daddy, I want to be a Royal Marine like you. And I was like, brilliant, like proudest moment ever. But if he chose that he wanted to go and be a ballet dancer, I don't care. As long as he's going to be the best.
I want to go in the rifles.
Yeah, then I might have a problem. I'm only joking. But yeah, as long as he makes the best out of him that he can be,
Best version.
then I'm proud. And like I say, I'll keep pushing myself till the day I die to keep making him proud, and
that's what we do,
hopefully
mate.
my wife's proud of me, and I'll do my best to keep him happy.
Everyone is, mate.
Cheers,
mate. Absolute pleasure having you on. Inspiration. Any handles you want shouting out?
No, if anybody wants following me, it's just my Instagram, at oneleg87.
Mega. I'll get that on there.
Cheers, mate.
Aaron. Always a pleasure, mate. Nice one.
Thanks.
Wake up.
You might want to do a clap now because you didn't do one at the start.
You got to remind me of these things, man.
Well, you started.
Sorry if I rambled on.
No,